is a time when magic is more powerful than science, and only those who control the magic control destiny. They are the Visionaries.
Welcome to the world of Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light. In the 1980s, imagination and innovation in animation brought us many unique cartoons, and Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light was no exception. It was created by the legendary Hasbro, the same company behind Transformers and G.I. Joe. This was a short-lived but unforgettable series, and it left a lasting mark. Let's dive into the world, characters, and themes of this mystical animated series. The series is set in the distant future on the planet of 𝗏𝗏, which is light years away from our own Earth. Technologically wise, it would be equivalent to what our world is today in the 21st century, but it was very far advanced for what you would know in the 1980s, which is when Visionaries was created in 1987. So the opening scenes of 𝗏𝗏 revealed a very technological advanced civilization with tablets and computers and everything that we take for granted now. But then a wrench into the cogwheel. A solar EMP, or electronic magnetic pulse, from the alignment of 𝗏𝗏's 3 suns basically destroys all technology, destroys the electrical grid, causing all technology to soon run out, as well as all electricity stores to be depleted. And now enter the realm magic to take the place of technology. We now pivot from a strong, technologically advanced society, very, very equivalent to modern-day United States, to the modern-day world, and we pivot to a bit of a futuristic take on Arthurian legend, with the world collapsing into the feudal system, with lords and kings warring with each other, and us ordinary people under the protection of a feudal lord, just like in our own Middle and Dark Ages. And we are introduced to the wizard Merlin, who, just like Merlin in Arthurian legend, sets his sights on a group of knights that he believes are worthy to wield the magic that he possesses. And we see 2 factions quickly emerge. We have the valiant spectral knights, who would be the equivalent of Arthur's Knights of the Round Table and Camelot, and we see the power-hungry Darkling Lords, which would be equivalent to Mordred's evil knights and Morgan Le Fay's evil knights. The spectral knights are noble warriors that are dedicated to restoring order. They are led by the courageous Leoric, who is basically our King Arthur, and they stand for justice and harmony. Opposing them are the Darkling Lords, led by the ruthless Darkstorm, who would be the equivalent of Mordred, and his sole aim is to seize power for himself. So let's meet these Visionaries that are set apart by the other knights and lords and ladies of the kingdom by their wielding of magical powers. First, let's meet the noble spectral knights and talk about their powers. First, as already mentioned, we have Leoric. He was given the totem of a lion. Now, basically, all of the Visionaries were given an animal totem that they could actually become on will. It was basically within their armor as a hologram. If they ever actually wanted to become their totem, all they had to do was call upon their power, and they would change from human to whatever that animal totem was. Plus, some of the knights had magical staffs that gave them extra magic powers that when they needed in a whim. The only drawback is, whereas their totems were unlimited use, the magical staffs could only be used once, and then they would have to be recharged by Merlin's magic pool. So this is a way that Merlin, kind of like Merlin in Arthurian legend, tried to keep the magic under his control. Also, the knights that did not have power staffs had the magical ability to infuse long-dead vehicles with magical powers that had the ability to wield magic of their own. And so they could actually operate vehicles that also had magical weapons attached to them. So, back to 𝗟𝗏. He has the totem of the lion, which symbolizes his bravery and his leadership. He gains the agility, speed, strength of a lion when he changes into his totem, and his power staff has the power of wisdom that he can call upon whenever he needs a little extra push.
Whispered secrets of a shattered age, I summon you, renew this sage.
His main adversary is the evil Darkstorm, and he is voiced in the cartoon by Neil Ross, who was a veteran of both Transformers, G.I. Joe, and much more. Next we have 𝗥𝗲𝗃, whose totem is the fox because of his cunning and cleverness. He would be the equivalent of Sir Urience from the Knights of the Round Table. He's a spy and a tactician, and he also has lots of speed and agility. And he does not have a power staff, but is able to power the mystical Lancer cycle, which has a spell of protection cast on it that he can use to shield both himself and anyone around his vehicle. He is voiced by the legend Michael McConaughey, who has been in every cartoon or animated series you ever loved. Next we have Sir Feral. He is the wolf, loyal and fierce, but also walks to the beat of his own drum. That is the reason he would be the equivalent of Sir Palamedes. His wolf totem reflects his loyalty to the basis of the Spectral Knights and the fact that he believes in all over one when it comes to power. So he's very much into self-sacrifice, even though he prefers to do things his way. He has heightened senses of endurance, and he is a formidable ally or warrior in any battle. He too does not have a power staff, but operates the huge capture chariot, which transports all the knights when called upon, and it possesses the power of large magical fireballs that can be launched at the evil villains whenever called upon. He is voiced by Bo Weaver of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Transformers. Next we have Cryotech, who is the oldest of the knights. He is also the strongest with the totem of the bear. He is also very protective of his friends, and he becomes nearly unstoppable when in bear mode. In his staff, he has the power of strength, and it manifests as a magical archer firing an arrow when needed. He is also
3 suns aligned, pour forth their light, and fill the archer's bow with might.
Also shown to be in a romantic relationship with the only female Spectral Knight, Sir Galadriel. So therefore, his Arthurian legend equivalent would be Sir Lancelot. Next we have Sir 𝗏𝗏𝗃. He was once a prince of an unnamed city in the south of the world before it became primitive again. He possesses the totem of the cheetah, and his staff bestows upon him the power of light.
Sheet these feet in the driving gale, make swift these legs, o'er land I sail!
When it's needed. He is 𝗟𝗏𝗃's second in command, and is very, very loyal. He is the equivalent of Sir Kay in Arthurian legend. Voiced by Jim Cummings, who was friggin' Winnie the Pooh, y'all. Next up is the young and impetuous Arzon with the totem of the eagle, and his staff imparts him the power of knowledge.
Thought and more is sought. Awake my mind, thy will be wrought. Address me as bearer of knowledge.
He is the youngest of the Spectral Knights, and even though he's very optimistic and eager, he can also get himself and others into trouble by flying in without really thinking. He is the equivalent of Arthurian Knight Sir Percival. He is voiced by Hal Rao of G.I. Joe, Pound Puppies, and much more. Next, we have the only female Spectral Knight, Sir Galadriel. She hails from the city of Androsia, where she is most likely of noble birth. She is the love interest of 𝗟𝗏𝗃. Her totem is the dolphin. She had no staff, but in the Star Comics version, which we won't spend too much time in here, she is given a shield which can heal people of disease and injury. She is voiced by the legendary Susan Blue, who was 𝗟𝗏𝗃 in the Transformers. Now, on to the evil Darkling Lords. First, we have their leader, the Mordred of this world, Darkstorm.
By what creeps, what crawls, by what does not, let all that grows recede and rot!
His totem is the mollusk because he's slimy and hard to catch. But he also has a power staff which wields the power of decay, the ability to make something young old, to make something new used up, and he can also reverse it when needed. He is voiced by the legendary Chris Latta, who is Cobra Commander and Starscream, y'all. Next we have Mordred. He is Darkstorm's most loyal servant. He's a sycophant, a bootlicker, and has the totem of the beetle because he is kind of a bug-like creature. He has no staff, but he is the designated pilot of the 𝗙𝗏𝗄𝗏, the Darkling Lord's aerial assault vehicle, and he is extremely sycophantly loyal to Darkstorm. He is voiced by the legendary Jonathan Harris, who was Dr. Smith in the original Lost in Space. Next we have Recon with the totem of the lizards. He is sneaky, adaptable, and can blend into any environment. He is a mercenary for hire, so he has very little loyalty to the Darkling Lords. He is only for what he is paid to do. He often loves to engage in a battle of the wits with 𝗥𝗲𝗃, and he does respect the Spectral Knights, and really could probably easily be turned if you really want to know about it. He has no staff, but is the pilot of the Dagger Assault, which is the Darkling Lord's rolling fortress that has a special sail that can remove the animal totem from any captured knight. He is voiced by the legendary Shakespearean actor Roscoe Lee Brown, who is also the voice of the news in many markets in the 1980s. Next we have 𝗏𝗏𝗃. He's aggressive and short-tempered. He has the totem of the 𝗏𝗏𝗏, which is the only native Primrosian animal. It is a Primrosian vulture that allows him to scavenge and attack people when they are at their weakness. His power staff invokes the sphere of massive fear in the form of a spider, which can make anyone hallucinate their greatest fear.
Pitch dark, dank, unclear, touch all before me with frost-fingered fear.
He too is voiced by Chris Latta. Next is Sindar with the totem of the gorilla. He is 𝗙𝗏𝗃's equivalent in the Darkling Lords with a huge amount of strength, but he has a soft side. He does not want to see anyone that is innocent get hurt, and that often puts him at odds with Darkstorm. He has a power staff that he can call upon the ultimate destruction of whatever he wants, and he is voiced by the legendary Peter Cullen, also known as Optimus Prime.
Nature's hand, by craft, by art, what once was one now fly apart.
𝗥𝗄𝗃 is a liar and a coward with the totem of an armadillo because of its ability to shield itself. His power staff offers the power of invulnerability, and he can also use that to shield others if he wants to.
return, the swords rebel. May nothing pierce this mortal shell.
A mist-filled pit, dark, dank, unclear, that's all before me with frost-fingered feet.
He is voiced again by the legendary Michael McConaughey. And finally, the only female member of the Darkling Lords, 𝗟𝗏. She worked as a newscaster prior to the Age of Magic. She is Galadriel's #1 rival. She has the totem of the shark, and in the comic series, she has a shield that can cause disease. She is voiced by Jennifer Darling of G.I. Joe, Smurfs, Care Bears, and Hello Kitty. Though it ran for only 13 episodes, Visionaries gained a cult following. Its intricate world building, strong character dynamics, and a unique blend of magic, technology, and Dark Age night imagery set it apart from other shows of the times. Fans appreciated the moral complexity of its characters, the high-stake conflicts, and the unforgettable lore. Even though it didn't see as much success as other Hasbro properties, it remains a nostalgic treasure for anyone that loves it like myself. There have been brief attempts to revive it, but I don't think anything will ever be as beloved as the original series was. And also, one little thing, this was the only Hasbro property that was unique. They came up with this premise themselves. They hired writers to come up with a storyline, lore, and characters themselves, even though it was loosely based on Arthurian legend. Still, a very unique story. It wasn't like G.I. Joe, which had been around since the 1960s. It wasn't like the Transformers or even Voltron that were holdovers from Japanese animation. This was 100% unique, original concept. So, if you're a fan of 80s cartoons, fantasy, or stories that mix magic with adventures, Visionaries is a gem worth revisiting. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe for more nostalgic content, and let me know your favorite Visionary character in the comments below. And also let me know if you've ever seen it. If you want to see it, it's available right here on YouTube in its entirety. Thanks, everyone. Whose totem is a